What's up, dude? This weekend was our yearly Taskmaster game. Big kudos to Rob and Marissa for winning, but this is the funniest thing, right? So, I love this show, and I play it with my friends over the course of months, and then I edit all this footage together. But this year for the trophy, I just want to give props to this company called Trophy Smack. I made a wrestling belt. And it wasn't even expensive. It was $200, but it's a legit heavy wrestling belt. It was 8 pounds. So I got the front. It says Taskmaster season 4 winner, and on the side plaques it says winner winner. And on the other side I got it to say chicken dinner. And that's so awesome. This guy wins. Rob and Marissa wins. And the next day I was like, Rob, I want to make sure that you're still wearing the belt. So his wife Marissa sends me a picture of him lounging on the couch with the belt around his waist. He's like, I'm never taking it off.
Oh, that's an image.
Yeah.
Well, while we're doing shout outs, I want to give a shout out to Staples.
They're still in business?
They're still in business, believe it or not. Well, I live in rural North Carolina, right?
Oh, yeah.
And so I needed some stuff to take with me to Nashville for ChannelCon, which is next week, which I'll actually be there while you're probably listening to this episode. But I designed, ordered, and will be able to pick up today at 8:30 p.m., but today, a banner, a tabletop sign, and I'm making this frame thing so that you can take a picture that says All Things MSP and Community Rocks, selfie style. So if you're listening to this and you're at GTIA ChannelCon in Nashville, come find me, and hey, we'll take a selfie.
Did they give you a, remember that, what was that, their button was that was easy.
Yeah. Yeah.
You remember everybody, they gave away away that toy.
The easy button.
The easy button. Everyone had one.
Yep.
I think the hardest thing to do is trying to replace the batteries in that thing.
Yeah. And then people were hacking them so that they would say something else.
My favorite hack is the guy who does, what's that, Big Mouth Bass, right?
Yeah. Billy Big Mouth.
Billy Big Mouth, right? But they hacked it to do the Amazon lady in the box, which is creepy AF when the fish goes, I don't understand the words that you're saying. Anyway, let us know what you hacked. Facebook.com/group/all things MSP. Near.
Customers don't want to have their support call answered by a bot. And if a real live human being answers the phone, they don't want to have to struggle to understand them. What your customers do want is a tech support specialist who speaks plainly, clearly, and has the skills and knowledge to help solve their issue. You want your customers to enjoy that kind of excellent experience. Give your customers what they want without blowing your budget by partnering with Helped. Help's US-based experts answer 24/7 by 365, serving as your help desk. Check out atmsp.link/helped. That's atmsp.link/HELPT for more info.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to the All Things MSP podcast. I'm your host, Justin Esgar. With me always is my good friend and Jean-Claude Van Scruff, Eric Anthony. Before we begin, I just want to let everyone know that Eric Anthony buys third-party lights because he doesn't buy newer tech. He buys newer tech, and that's staying in the episode. If you can't see, youtube.com/@allthingsmsp and watch Eric go full void mode. If you've seen Thunderbolts, you know.
It's the dark side.
Turn them on. Speaking of the dark side, see, now the problem was before we started recording, Eric's like, check this out. I got my lights to work on a remote. And now we can't make it work because the remote's lost its batteries.
Well, if I don't hold the remote in the right place, because one of the lights is more behind a monitor than the other, it doesn't get the signal.
You could have done a Photoshop thing. Send back, send backwards, send more to back. Speaking of the dark side, I watched this really funny clip. There's what is his name? Michael McIntyre, I think his name is, a British comedian. And he did this clip. He bum rushed two other comedians that were staying in a hotel room. And one of the I knew all of the comedians because they're semi-famous, but one of them is Chris Ramsey, and he goes, Chris, we're gonna play a game because you love Star Wars, and he brings out 3 guys dressed as Darth Vader, and he goes, which one of them is your father? And so they had them all dance, and he's like, I think number 2 is my father. And then the dad dressed as Darth Vader goes, Chris, I am your father. And he took his helmet off, and it was his dad.
That's awesome.
It was so good. All right, so what's up, everybody, today? What we're going to do, we're going to play a game today, Mr. Anthony. We're going to play a game. Eric's going to set a 5-minute timer because we want to get this episode done properly and not keep you in the car for 2 hours listening to us droning. About the top 7 overused buzzwords in the MSP world. So we're setting ourselves a 5-minute timer for each one of them, okay? Hopefully you hear the bell ring. Eric's going to be our timekeeper. You got to let me know when to go, when we can go, but like no rules. It's like Fight Club, but for buzzwords.
For buzzwords. That's, yeah, okay.
All right, are we ready with the first one?
I am ready. Let me go ahead and put 5 minutes on the timer, but I won't start it yet. Our first buzzword is one of your absolute favorites of all time, and we have mentioned this on several shows, especially early on.
It's AI.
No.
Oh.
Because that one would have been too easy. And, I felt like we already kind of pick on AI a lot, justifiably so.
It doesn't have feelings.
No, but it might soon.
All right. What's the word?
By the way, before we start the timer, because
we did say we were going to keep time on this episode.
I know, but I haven't started the timer yet.
There.
Did you get access to Agent GPT yet?
I don't think so. Oh, yes, I did. It showed up yesterday, but I just haven't played with it yet.
Okay, neither I.
Okay.
Just thought I'd bring it up.
Good.
Okay.
I'm so glad the people at home now know this.
So the buzzword.
If you don't know, Eric and I only talk once a week. So this is our catch-up period as well.
Right, exactly. And you all just get to play along.
Yeah, exactly.
Now, our first buzzword, I guess I better put my hand on the timer, right? Is proactive.
Oh, boo.
I knew you'd love this one.
Wow, man, proactive. There's nothing you can do in our industry to be proactive. Done.
Oh, you and I have 2 different opinions on this.
Well, I'm kind of general. I understand, like, you can set up security and you can do all these things to prevent things from happening. But, like, you also don't know if it would have happened if you didn't set that up. Because this is not the multiverse.
Yes, but there are things that over time are going to happen. There is a high percentage chance that it's going to happen.
Sure, yeah.
And while you may not be able to prevent that from happening, you can prevent the consequences of that thing happening from getting incredibly worse.
100% agree. I mean, I know the reality behind the word proactive and why we're doing it. I think what's funny is that a lot of MSPs use proactive to explain that we're going to help solve problems before they are problems, but end users don't get that. And so when an end user sends in a problem that they're having, in the end user's mind, they were like, I thought you were going to be proactive about this. And it's like, well, I'm sorry, we didn't realize you were going to pour coffee on your computer, Susan. Like, that's not where the proactive is, right? Like, I understand where the proactive is, right? We've talked about putting in systems in place to prevent things from happening, making sure you're putting in certain tools to prevent horrible consequences. If you have a WordPress website, your website's going to be hacked because it can be. So putting in things like there, putting in anti-phishing, anti-malware, crypto protection, whatever. Sure, I get it. But I think it's just the way that we use the word proactive to make it sound like we are some sort of like, we can tell the future. What are those 3 things from Minority Report? The precogs? Like, it's used incorrectly because the end user doesn't understand what its actual meaning is.
Yeah, and that's why it's overused, right?
100%.
there are things that an MSP could and should do to be proactive. You talked about a lot of tools, a lot of security implementation, but also doing things like business reviews. That counts as being proactive.
Yep.
Because you don't want to wait until you find out that they have this business need for something that some other technology provider is now going to provide and has a foothold on your client. That'll happen because you don't have business reviews. Training, risk assessments, all of those things fall into that proactive bucket. But yes, absolutely. The reason why we consider it overused is because
all of us have it on our websites.
Yeah, well, that's true. We all have it on the websites, and we use it as a blanket to kind of cover everything.
Yeah.
And it gives a false sense of security, which in our business is bad.
Bad. All right. Don't use proactive. Come up with something new. All right. Reset the timer. I think we nailed it. Did we do it?
We did. We've got like a minute and a half left.
All right. I'll dance for a minute and a half. Do. No, let's go to number 2.
Okay. Number 2 is, this is one of my favorites, trusted advisor.
Ooh, that is a good one. How many advisors?
Got to start the timer. There we go.
How many advisors do you have? Like in your
that
life?
Are trusted?
Because I'll tell you this, right? I have a trusted financial advisor. And then I watched him post pictures on Facebook of him going out on his boat this weekend. And I'm like, I think you might not be as trustworthy as I want you to be. Because I don't have a boat. You have a boat. And also,
boats are just holes in the water you pour money into.
Also, by the way, he's never invited me on his boat. So there's that too.
There you go.
Trusted advisor. Yeah. That's one of those things where it's a buzzword because we want to make people believe that we are who we say we are, but then many people do not back it up, right?
Yeah.
Because if you really were a trusted advisor, not only are you're not there just to sell services or sell product or move licenses. You have to be there through the thick and the thin, and actually also learn to take it on the chin when you're wrong. And you have to be able to bring the right products to them without overselling them. You want to have that friendship level, I guess, right? That's more because truthfully, my trusted advisors are my friends that I believe that I've known for years because I know they're I know the skeletons in their closet kind of thing, right? In a business sense, you can say you're a trusted advisor, but the proof's in the pudding.
Yeah. And this is where I have a problem with so many MSPs using the moniker of trusted advisor because they're really just providing commodity IT services and they're not providing the solutions that you think of when you think of a professional advisor, like an attorney, like a financial advisor, like an accountant, those types of people. And I think to have true value for a business, that's what the MSP needs to do from the technology side.
Yeah.
The MSP needs to be familiar enough with their business to know what the new things are, the new challenges, the new opportunities that are coming up in that client's business in order to truly advise them on how to leverage technology to be more efficient, make more money, all of those things.
I mean, a good one of this is the big hot word right now is everyone's trying to do compliance, right? And knowing the different types of compliance that are out there and which one of your customers would need compliance based on their business, right? So you could push everybody to NIST or SOC 2 or whatever, but my 4-person graphic design firm who's been around for 20 years who does diddly doesn't need that. I'm not going to keep bringing that topic up because that would be just me selling something to them. And that's not giving them that trusted feeling. However, one of my other design firms who does websites for banks, that's a conversation to be had because it'll look good for their customer, for them to their customers as well. So knowing who your customers are and knowing who their customers are, understanding the real crux of their business as opposed to just putting them in a bucket of lawyers or doctors or graphic design firms or accountants or professional services or whatever, like, will help you be a more trusted advisor because you're giving them specific targeted things that they need to like make their business grow.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you're not, and I hate to harp on this, but and this probably should have been one of these buzzwords was QBRs. It should have been. It's not. Sneak peek.
Mm.
And because if you're not doing business reviews at your clients, you are not going to uncover these things that are the things that they are looking for that are going to make a difference in their business.
I don't think you necessarily have to do QBRs because I'll tell you that we don't, but like there's if you're not doing QBRs, you have to have a good enough relationship with the people there to be in it on a daily basis. Like I talk to all of my clients probably once a week across the board. If you're in it that deep, you don't necessarily need the QBR. If you're not and you have to fall back, QBRs are a great second alternative to being like up in their piece all the time. That's my only issue with that one.
Yeah. And
okay.
We're going to stop there because we only have 10 seconds left.
Boom. Number 3.
Number 3 is turnkey. This is kind of a fun one.
What does it mean?
What do you mean? What does it mean?
Again, we use a lot of vernacular that I think, one, MSPs don't really know, and two, clients definitely do not know. So like to a customer who's looking for IT help, what does it mean to them?
So to a client, it means that they can write a check and solve the problem, I think, right there, right then and there.
But is that really what that's not what we're doing. That's a one-off then.
Look, I get it, right? And that's why this is overused, is because so many times with technology, there's training involved. You know, there's onboarding. They got to learn a system. They've got to be trained on the different aspects of the system. And then typically there's a period of adoption where things may not work so great.
Also, turnkey makes it sound like they can rely on you day one for everything. Like, what's your onboard time for a new customer? Like, this is going to sound weird, but I tell new customers our onboard time is 6 weeks. Not because it takes us 6 weeks to like know all of their technological pieces. We can figure that out in maybe 2 days. But until we understand everybody's personality, right? And things like that. And then, of course, there's always somebody's got some piece of tech hiding under a desk that no one knew about, and we find it, you know, that kind of thing. So it's either that MSPs are like relying on this word turnkey too heavily, or like they're relying on the word turnkey too heavily without actually understanding what the full picture is. And the customer still does not get it because turnkey should be immediate, right? A turnkey solution is a toilet. You replaced your toilet. The new toilet is turnkey. You put it in, done. Toilet works. When you're doing a complicated service like what we do as MSPs, I don't think turnkey is the right term to use when it comes to doing things. You can say we provide faster solutions. We can do everything from setup to user training to continuum maintenance and I was about to say proactive. Damn it! I'm so trained. I'm trained in the arts of the wrong. Yeah. See, this is what happens. But I don't think turnkey, much like a lot of other terminology that MSP uses, including the term MSP, is something that clients understand very clearly. And I think we have to be better about our language. And I think there's no excuse for not being better about our language when we have the internet to help us with that.
Right. And, you know, I think one of the things, going back to your toilet analogy, because I think that's really good, actually. Toilets have not changed in the 50 plus years that I have been on this planet. Okay.
You need a new Japanese Toto toilet, my friend.
That's a discussion for another day.
Functionally, no, same thing. Functionally the same, but it's really nice when it's like warm on your tush.
But technology evolves over time.
Yeah.
And toilet technology has not. But computer technology, and communications technology has changed. Security has changed. Risks have dramatically changed over the last decade.
Over the last
And
10 minutes.
what?
All of it's changed in the last
and
10 minutes. Yeah, that's how fast it's going.
Sorry, we only have a minute left, so
Oh.
I'm trying to get this in quickly.
Get in. I'll shut up.
No, and really, that's what the clients need to understand is that it's not turnkey from I'm going to deliver you a solution and it's going to sit there and it's just going to work forever, right?
Right.
Barring things breaking, because that happens with toilets too. No, the outside world changes when it comes to technology. New things come up, new risks come up, new rules come up when we talk about compliance.
Mm-hmm.
And so therefore, it has to be a long-term relationship to really benefit the business, in my opinion.
Yeah, agreed. All right. Number 4. Ready?
I got to change the timer. Okay, number 4 is next gen.
Ugh.
Yeah, marketing term, way overused.
Oh, my Lord. Everything is next gen. You know why? Because it's the thing that came out a minute from now. Next gen is BS. Everything is next gen. This is another one of those things where like vendors love to do the next gen one, and AI. This is the same thing with the like slapping AI and everything, right? Because now it's AI infused. It's the next gen version because it has this or whatever. Like a firewall is a firewall is a firewall at the end of the day. There's stuff you could add to that firewall, and sure, maybe there's new cyber threats and you have cyber protection built in, or now it can do IDS, IDP. You have AI managing those cyber threats and sending emails to Bangladesh when something goes wrong. I don't know, whatever. But like, we slap this label on everything. You know what I would love to see? Next gen ice cream.
Do you really want to change ice cream?
Well, I was assuming it was going to be the space ice cream, right? Oh, you know what's next gen ice cream? Dippin' Dots. I think it says next gen on the machines there, right?
But it's really not.
It's not, because it's just smaller.
Because it's not better.
It's hard. Dippin' Dots is the worst. So is space ice cream. But I digress. Well, there's actually no, I don't digress, because maybe there's something to be said there that like just because it's next gen doesn't mean it's better.
Correct. Like rolled ice cream, in the realm of ice cream, sticking with your ice cream theme here. Rolled ice cream is good. It's not bad. It's better than Dippin' Dots. But I think I still prefer traditional old school ice cream.
I mean, Cold Stone Creamery is next gen ice cream, where they're chopping it up on that ice block and they're putting stuff in it. That's next gen ice cream, and that's good ice cream. But they don't slap next gen on it. But yeah, to your point, rolled ice cream is another next gen BS term. The point here is that like, if it's not significantly different, I think a lot of time we see this in networking. I said firewalls, but like even I was thinking about Unify for a second, right? Because they've released the new next gen access points. They went from Wi-Fi 5 to 6 or version 5 to 6 to 7. I don't think it's Wi-Fi 7. I think it's called the AP7 or whatever. Nothing's different. It's just faster. It's just Wi-Fi. Wi-Fi is Wi-Fi. It's just faster.
Well, but the argument could be made that faster is better, right?
But it's not next gen. It's not changing generationally. It's not doing anything different. The Wi-Fi isn't like now all of a sudden not only acting as Wi-Fi, but it's also making me toast in the morning. Like there's nothing generational about it. Speed, sure, but I don't think that's a generation thing.
If you had to change the technology, to get that speed, I think it would count as next gen.
I don't, because the technology at its barest bones is still the same. It's still just radio antennas. They just stuck more radio antennas in it.
I don't think that's what they did, though.
I know for a fact that's exactly what they did.
Because for me, like, to use a different analogy, if I have a 4-cylinder engine, obviously that's not as fast as a 6-cylinder engine, right? I can go faster, I can tow better with a 6-cylinder engine. But I didn't gain that through a technology change. I only added more stuff to it, right? I went from 4 cylinders to 6 to gain that improvement.
Yeah.
But if I actually improve the technology of
Or you
the
went from a
engine,
4-cylinder to an electric.
right,
Yeah.
I get more torque.
But that's next gen. Going from like a gas to an electric is next gen.
Correct.
But I think vendors slap next gen on way too simply without, there's not enough improvement to call it a generational change, I think, in my opinion.
Right. And so, item number 4 brought to you by the vendors in the space. So please listen carefully.
Right now is where you cut to commercial. All right. Number 5. Ready?
Ready. Number 5 is one of my favorites of all time, which honestly, we used to use it a lot, right? Because I think there is some value to it. But nowadays, single pane of glass.
If I had a hammer. Everybody wants it. Nobody has it. It's never going to happen. Get over it and move on with your lives.
This came about probably, it's got to be 10, 15 years ago, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Where we were trying to consolidate a lot of tools into one thing because we had just adopted RMM tools. Like we now had this tool that could look into the status of our AV, the status of our patch management, the status of how full hard drives were, right? Yeah. And I think for some of those types of things, it does make sense. And to have that consolidated into single pane of glass. But
is it your ASMR version of?
Yeah, exactly.
This is me tapping on a single pane of glass.
But the problem now is we've expanded into so many different things that I don't think you can now pull it all into a single pane of glass. I think it's nearly impossible at this point.
Okay.
And it definitely doesn't work when you're trying to do best of breed because not all tools are going to talk to each other. Yeah. And a lot of times I think some of the uniqueness and the competitive advantage of an MSP comes from the ability to use best of breed tools in a unique way that specifically benefits their clients.
I think there's so many tools that are out there that claim to be single pane of glass that you might as well be living in a greenhouse. Right? Like
because they're hot?
No, because it's just all glass. Like it's just a row of single panes of glass. I do agree with your point that like not everything fits. I will say, from our perspective, we've tried to limit the number of tools that we do use, and we've tried to force feed as much as we can into our PSA. But instead of saying a single pane of glass, I think we've slightly changed the moniker here to be primary tools, secondary tools. Because instead of trying to put everything in one pane, we say, Halo is our primary tool. And if it can't go into Halo, can it be a secondary tool? And can it do more than just its one thing? Because if it can't, then it's like a tertiary or whatever, fourth level down.
Quaternary
tool. Yeah, at that point, it's a cautionary tool. And a lot of people still want everything in one. They only want that one pane of glass. They want that one primary tool. And you have to be okay with the fact that, like, that's not going to happen, right? Like, Meraki, as a great example, has an amazing API and can tap into a lot of stuff. We can find that if a Meraki goes up or down or whatever it is. But Ubiquiti doesn't have an API. So guess what? Has to not be part of that single pane of glass by default. So I do also, again, back to the vendor one, I was on a call with a vendor the other day, and they were talking about human risk management. It's the new name for phishing, for our phishing training. And they were like, we have a single pane of glass. And I immediately just was like, table flip. I was like, shut up. Because you're not. Because they were like, and we can tap into other things. And I was like, I don't want you to tap into other things. I want other things to tap into you, and I want the report to go straight into my ticketing system. Can your report go right into our ticketing system? No. Then I don't need another pane of glass, hence the greenhouse.
Right. Unless you need that pane of glass for something else, exactly. Which completely makes sense. And that's why I think it had its place. I think it's less important now.
Yeah.
And I think that vendors that are still using single pane of glass, your partners are tired of it.
I'll say this much. A lot of people like equate building a business to building a house, right? You need the foundation. You got to build your house out. You find me a house that has one single pane of glass, and I'll tell you that person is miserable.
There you go. And I think that's a good place to end.
That's a good place to end that one. All right. Number 6.
Number 6.
This is gonna piss off. This is gonna piss off Brad Gross.
It's gonna piss off a lot of people. Fully managed.
Ugh. How many of you out there claim that your clients are fully managed on a regular basis? And then
this one is so dangerous.
This is so dangerous, right? You think you're fully managed, and then you find out that they're using some piece of software that they installed themselves that you don't know anything about. Boom. You're no longer fully managed. And I understand on the PC world, it's a lot different on the Mac world because PC MSPs tend to not give users like admin access. And on the Mac side, we're a little more lenient on it. Of course, it depends on the industry and whatever, I understand. But even at that, you don't know what they're doing in their day-to-day every day because you're not in their office and you're not talking to them every day. So like at best, I would say 80 to 85% managed.
Yeah. I mean, because if you say fully managed, it means fully managed. I mean, some people take that as to everything from the thermostat to the coffee maker and the servers in between, right? Yeah. And so there's just a lot of risk there when you say that you're taking care of everything without specifically enumerating what that means.
I think that's the problem, right? It's a blanket term, right? Because you could be an MSP, but you don't do networking, as an example, right? There's a lot of MSPs who don't do networking. But if you say we're a fully managed IT service company, again, this is about client interpretation of what things mean. And clients, as we all know, are mostly dumb when it comes to IT things, right? Let's just be, if a jack on the wall stops working, who are they supposed to call? You think that they're going to call you because it's a fully managed IT solution. You're handling everything. But guess what? You don't. We don't use the word fully managed. I will say, to deal with the coffee maker thermostat thing, I always tell my customers, like, if you're not sure, email us and let us tell you no. They feel comfortable with that sentence. I feel like that language works well for them. But at the same time, you're right. Like, we're a fully managed IT solution, but like my clients have a Nest thermostat that I have zero access to. What if it goes sideways? Like, what am I supposed to do about it? I can't. Therefore, not fully managed. I also, going back to Brad Gross, because he says this a lot in his presentations. The reason Brad puts out the way he puts out his like master service agreement and he puts out the services guide is so that way it lays out exactly what the customer is supposed to expect from you. A lot of the time, fully managed IT will include backups. And Brad's whole thing is like, if you're not backing up their data day one and they lose data, they're going to come after you. Well, you told them you're fully managed. So you better hold on to your butt when you're like going to say those words and explain exactly what's included in that and say, yes, these things are fully managed and all of this long list on the left is not.
Yeah. And I think that's the enumeration that I was talking about, right?
Yeah.
Laying out the expectations, making sure they understand what you cover and what you don't. I actually like the way you handle the coffee maker because that means they can always call you, right? Yeah. And ask you that question. And you get to say whether or not it's covered under your agreement or it's something that you want to help them with from a project management standpoint. And it creates the right experience, I think, for the client when the IT firm, the MSP, is that closely related to the day-to-day business operations of their client, which goes back to trusted advisor.
Right, which is stuff that we've already talked about earlier today.
Yep.
Don't write fully managed on your website unless you really plan to fully manage everything.
And understand the risks thereunto.
And if you don't have insurance, maybe consider insurance or calling Brad. He'll help you out with not the insurance part, but he'll point you in the right direction.
He'll help you out with the agreement part.
And then he'll tell you to get insurance. All right. Our final one, number 7, keeping time, doing good. I haven't gotten the bell yet.
No, you haven't. Like we've ended. I think the closest we came is 11 seconds.
I'm going to bite my tongue in that sentence. All right. Number 7
is customized solutions.
You think that's overused?
I think the concept is overused. I don't know that I didn't really like this one because of the word. I liked it because it's just a bad idea, in my opinion.
I can agree with that because I've had conversations, maybe slight arguments with my director of technology about whether or not all customers are the same or not, right? Because if you look at a particular vertical, and we've already talked about like knowing what their business are and who their customers are, but if you scrape that away for a second, right? All my graphic design firms need the Office suite and need the Adobe suite, and that's the world they live in. There's nothing unique about them. So what am I customizing that's specifically for them? Now, this could be different on the PC MSP side, and I don't really have the insight or the knowledge on that one, but most MSPs are offering a 2-tiered plan, a 3-tiered plan at most. You're not customizing anything. You're giving them, even at best, you're giving them a laundry list of the stuff that you're selling. You're not customizing, unless you're doing like software development or like you're building, I don't know, like Zapiers or whatever all day long for them, which is a different industry. Like, what's custom? You're getting them email. You're getting them protection for their email. You're getting them the software they need. You're doing help desk. What's custom here?
So I like how Keith Nelson does this. Okay. And Keith has been a regular person on the live streams on Wednesday nights. Mm-hmm. He's an MSP out of the Southern California area, and he does some very high-end, complex IT situations.
Yeah.
But he pulls from a standard toolbox of tools to implement those solutions. Mm-hmm. So really all he's taking is the different tools that he uses for everybody and puts them together in a way that works for that specific business. So Keith is still standardized on his back end, but he's delivering a solution to his client that works specifically for them. And one of the things that he does, and this is genius, okay? He doesn't call it, just a workstation. He'll call it specifically what that workstation does. It's a check-in station, or it's a kiosk, and he uses language that relates to the business of the client rather than the technology itself. And that makes it custom for the client, but he's not changing the tools on the back end.
It's so funny. You're talking about his setup, and I'm going back to our toilet example for a second, right? Like, you got a white bathroom, you got a nice white toilet. You got a black bathroom, you got a nice black toilet. You got a Japanese toilet getting installed. You got an elongated, you got a short, you got a tall, you got a big water tank. It doesn't matter. The plumber is still using the same tools to do it. It is not a custom solution. He can call it whatever the hell he wants. It's putting lipstick on a pig at that point, right? Like, the back end stuff that you're using is your solution. That's the solution. You might be providing the customer a more I don't want to say customized, but I want to say like you're providing them a more unique experience because you want to hone in on their business. Yeah. But truth be told, there ain't no custom about it, right? You're not West Coast Customs. You're not trying to put a TV in the trunk of a car because you like TVs in your car, dog. Like, that's not what we're talking about. If you're using the same tool set, stop. And also, just as a point of reference, if you keep saying customized solutions, you mentally are going to make each customer a unique snowflake, meaning that you can't write procedures around taking care of all your customers. If you need to document, you're going to write so much documentation because every customer is going to have laundry list of stuff because everyone is so quote unquote customized. You're going to kill yourself doing that. Like, don't do that. That's a bad idea. So don't do it to yourself and don't do it publicly to your customers either. No more customized solutions.
And I have no idea how much time we have left because for some reason I'd hit the wrong button.
Well, I think we did that in 5. So
I think we did.
I think that was a good one. Those are your top 7 overly used buzzwords in MSP. If you have any other buzzwords or want to fight with us about it, check us out at facebook.com/group/allthingsmsp. Watch all of this in its glory and Eric in his pre-Halloween colored lights at youtube.com/@allthingsmsp. I didn't make fun of it the entire show, but you have orange lights and an orange shirt on. Follow us on. It's not according to the camera. It's not. Follow us on all the favorite podcasting tools. Like, subscribe, ring the bell. You know the drill. That's Eric. I'm Justin. Bye.
Thank you for listening or watching the All Things MSP podcast. If you liked this episode, go ahead and give us a thumbs up, hit that like button, and consider subscribing to catch all our weekly episodes. And from your host extraordinaire, Justin Esgar, and myself, Eric Anthony, your humble producer and All Things MSP founder, thank you very much for spending your time with us. If you are not aware, All Things MSP started as a Facebook group and now supports over 6,000 members. We also have a LinkedIn page for those of you who don't do Facebook, and make sure to check out our YouTube channel for even more content. And a big thank you to our premier sponsors, EasyDmark, Helped, Goes Into, MoveBot, and Nodeware. And thank you to the rest of our sponsors. Without sponsors, we could not do what we do for the MSP community. Please consider checking them out. The All Things MSP podcast is a BizPow LLC production. The views and opinions of the hosts and guests are their own and do not reflect the thoughts and opinions of any employer, vendor, sponsor, or random taxi driver in the Metro DC area. Be sure to join us next week for another exciting episode.